Imagine a city buried beneath the heart of Egypt. Hidden tunnels, ancient chambers, and structures that seem to defy everything we learned in school. Now imagine that this city was predicted by a man over 100 years ago, Edgar Cayce, known as the Sleeping Prophet. He said that beneath the sand lay the truth about the origin of humanity. In 2025, an international team of scientists revealed something astonishing: an underground network exactly where Cayce pointed, between the Sphinx and the Great Pyramid of Giza. Cylindrical formations, spiral tunnels, and two gigantic chambers. Coincidence? Or the confirmation of an ancient prophecy? For decades, Cayce's accounts were ignored, labeled as mysticism. But the current data brings something new: a crossover between prophecy and science. The structure found is not natural. It is complex, profound, planned, and her existence changes everything. Edgar Cayce claimed that when this Hall of Records was revealed, humanity would face a decisive moment, and that within this chamber would be the records left by an advanced civilization, the Atlanteans. There, documents, artifacts, and secrets that challenge the current understanding of archaeology, history, and spirituality would be kept. The location? Exactly under the paws of the Sphinx. The same one that, for centuries, silently observed the desert. The same one that many archaeologists swore was solid, with nothing below. But now, underground images show the opposite. Aligned formations, precise measurements, corridors that connect to giant chambers. What the satellites did not show, the sensors revealed. And the prophecy returned to the center of attention. But what exactly was found? And why is this discovery being kept silent by authorities and institutions? The data obtained by ground-penetrating radar show that these structures follow a geometric pattern, so precise that it could not have been caused by nature. The network of tunnels forms a descending spiral, leading to two main chambers of about 80 meters in width each. The connections between the spaces reveal an architectural design of the highest complexity, as if the builders knew exactly what they were doing. There are no traditional historical records about these constructions. Nothing in the hieroglyphs. Nothing in the official archaeological records. This raises an even more unsettling question. Who would have built these structures, and why? If these formations are indeed what Cayce described, we are facing a watershed moment. Archaeology will need to be rewritten. The beliefs about our origins will have to be revised. And the world, or at least those who allow themselves to see, will never be the same. If you like topics like this and want to be part of this investigation with us, go ahead and give us a like and subscribe to the channel. We are looking to reach our first goal, 100 subscribers. Let's reveal together what was hidden. Edgar Cayce never sought fame. He didn't charge for the readings. Most of them were done to help strangers, many of whom he never met in person. But as the years went by, his visions became increasingly bold. He began to speak of eras before ours, times when humanity lived in harmony with the cosmos, before falling into the darkness of oblivion. In his visions, Cayce saw Atlantis as a civilization that had reached the pinnacle of spiritual and scientific knowledge. But their pride led them to ruin. When the collapse approached, the wise decided to preserve their history and sent records to strategic locations on the planet. One of them was Egypt, where they knew their message would have a chance to survive. For Cayce, Egypt was much more than we think. It was a direct link to an ancestral past, a sacred place where the Atlanteans established their new base, reconstructing the knowledge they had lost and integrating it into the local culture. He described the Hall of Records as a physical space, protected by massive stone blocks and techniques that did not use conventional tools. The entrance, according to his words, was between the paws of the Sphinx, sealed so perfectly that no explorer would ever notice it without precise instructions. And more, he said that the content of this room would be revealed in the 21st century, at a time of global crisis, when humanity would be in search of a new meaning. The records, according to him, would contain proof of the divine origin of the human being, data about lost civilizations, star maps, and spiritual codes. Cayce did not seek followers, but thousands began to follow him over the years. His words began to circulate among spiritualist, mystical communities, and even independent researchers. If until now you thought this was just theory, remember, in 2025, a structure was found exactly where he predicted. Science is chasing after something that a simple man described over 100 years ago. And if he is right about what's inside that room, the world will never be the same. For those who have been following prophecies and alternative archaeological theories for decades, this is the turning point. What was once treated as mystical whimsy is now corroborated by concrete data, modern equipment, and respected specialists. Technology has brought to light what tradition ignored. But not everyone is celebrating this discovery. Voices within the academic community itself are calling for caution. Some suggest that the data analysis may be interpreted fancifully, that the geometric patterns could be coincidental, or that they are geological formations not understood. However, the more the data is examined, the harder it becomes to deny its artificiality. Moreover, spiritual groups and independent researchers began to push for transparency. Several alternative media channels have released images, digitally recreated underground maps, and testimonies from dissenting archaeologists. Many claim that the excavation has already begun, in secret, and that the authorities are trying to control the content found before revealing it to the world. The conflict is growing. On one side, official science trying to maintain the traditional narrative. On the other, a growing crowd demanding access to the truth. In the midst of this, Egypt, guardian of the secret, faces the most difficult decision in its history: to open the chamber and confront the past, or to keep it sealed and preserve the myth. Between rumors and silence, one thing is certain: something was found, something big, and the world is about to discover what was buried millennia ago, perhaps not just to be protected, but to be awakened at the right time. If you believe that this is the moment when science, spirituality, and history meet, subscribe to the channel now. We are revealing piece by piece the pieces of a millennia-old puzzle. Our goal of 100 subscribers is symbolic. Each new person is another awakened consciousness. What could really be hidden inside the so-called Hall of Records? This question, which for decades was seen as fantasy, is now beginning to take on new significance. According to Cayce, the contents of this chamber go beyond ancient documents. It is a spiritual heritage in Atlantean legacy, carefully protected from time and human ignorance. Reports of his visions indicate that inside the room there would be detailed records about the origin of humanity, artifacts of advanced technology, and spiritual codes capable of awakening forgotten abilities. Cayce described instruments that use vibration and sound for healing, energy manipulation, and even communication with higher planes of consciousness. He claimed that the Atlanteans understood the workings of the soul much more clearly than we do. They knew that matter was just one of the expressions of existence, and therefore they built the Hall of Records as a point of convergence between the physical and the spiritual. It was not just a storage of objects, it was a portal. Some scholars suggest that this chamber is protected by vibrational seals, which could only be broken by spiritually aligned individuals. Others speak of the presence of crystal artifacts, which would store information as an ancient form of quantum technology. And there are still those who believe that, when opened, the Hall of Records will not only reveal historical secrets, but will also activate a new stage in the collective awakening of humanity. The impact would be immense. Religions would have to reposition themselves. Science would have to revisit its origins. Politics would face an unprecedented wave of questioning. The entire system would feel the effect of the truth coming to light. But the question remains, are we ready? With each new piece of information revealed, we get closer to that point of no return. And if the signs are correct, and if the prophecies are real, then perhaps we are living the beginning of the greatest spiritual awakening of our era. Do you want to keep following all of this with us? So subscribe to the channel now, activate notifications, because the next part might bring even deeper revelations. We are almost halfway through this journey, and your presence here makes all the difference. The discovery of structures beneath the Giza Plateau sparked more than curiosity. It raised alarms, not only among academics, but also among governments, international organizations, and religious institutions. A suspicious silence began to grow around what should be the greatest archaeological discovery of the modern era. Independent sources claim that the Egyptian government has blocked any new attempts at excavation in the region. The teams that revealed the original data have disappeared from the media. Some report that their names were removed from academic publications. Others claim they were threatened not to speak publicly about what they found. Why so much effort to silence a discovery that could benefit humanity? The answer may lie in the contents of the room. If it truly holds evidence of the existence of Atlantis, unknown technologies, or records that rewrite human history, this would directly affect the pillars of official narratives. Everything we learned in schools, the books, the institutions would collapse. And there's more. Unconfirmed reports speak of discrete military movements near the Sphinx. Independent satellites have detected the presence of temporary structures being set up at night and dismantled in the morning. For some, this is proof that the excavation has already begun, out of the public eye. What is being done down there? Would they be studying the artifacts in secret, copying, hiding, or even destroying what was found? Theories multiply. Some believe that the content is so impactful that it would put an end to organized religions. Others say that there are technologies there that could completely replace the dependence on oil, nuclear energy, or armaments. Whatever the truth may be, what impresses is the lack of transparency and the apparent fear that the population will discover what is being hidden. Cayce had already warned that this moment would be tumultuous, that powerful forces would try to prevent the revelation. But in the end, the truth would come to light. And if that moment is now, if you want to keep up with everything that is being revealed, subscribe to the channel now. We are gathering those who are not satisfied with official versions. Join us in our search for the truth. In times of revelations, silence is one of the loudest sounds. The more discoveries emerge, the stronger the feeling that we are facing something that transcends stone walls or ancient archives. The Hall of Records is not just a physical vault. For many, it represents a spiritual symbol, the awakening of collective consciousness. Since information about the underground structures began to circulate, spiritual communities around the world have started reporting synchronicities, recurring dreams with stone corridors, meditations in which they visualize crystals emitting sounds. People who had never connected with this theme began to feel an inexplicable calling, as if something within them was being activated. Is the external revelation echoing within us? According to some ancient traditions, the forgotten knowledge of humanity has not been erased, only dormant within each of us. The symbolic opening of this room would then be the trigger for the return of ancestral memories, spiritual abilities, and a new sense of unity. Mystics and spiritual leaders have come to interpret the discovery as the beginning of a new era, not just for what is hidden beneath the sand, but for what is being unearthed in our souls. The truth buried outside is the mirror of the truth we neglect inside. Cayce believed that, at the moment the contents of the room were revealed, the world would face a period of division and, at the same time, profound opportunity. Some would resist, others would awaken, and from that shock, a new humanity would emerge. The challenge would be to maintain balance, not to fall into fear, nor into illusion. Seek discernment, and be prepared for what the truth demands of us: transformation. If the prophecy is indeed coming true, then every choice we make, including the choice to seek information and expand our consciousness, becomes an active part of this change. And perhaps, more important than what is in the room, is what we will do with this truth when it comes to light. If this resonated with you, subscribe now. This channel is more than just a space for curiosity. It's a meeting point for minds that no longer accept living in the dark. Together, we will explore the next part of this story. We are facing a moment that could mark the end of an era of lies and the beginning of an era of revelations. The prophecy of Edgar Cayce, written in simple words by a man discredited in his time, now finds resonance in modern machines, scientific studies, and awakened hearts. The Hall of Records is not just an ancient myth. It is becoming a tangible reality, a symbol of what is still hidden beneath layers of time, fear, and control. Egypt, land of millennial secrets, seems on the verge of revealing one of its greatest mysteries. And we, those who chose to question, are witnesses to this process. The journey we began with Cayce takes us not only to the past, but also to the future. A future in which spirituality will not be opposed to science, in which ancestral wisdom will be valued as much as technology, and in which humanity may perhaps see its purpose clearly again. Maybe the true secret was never just the objects hidden beneath the sand, but rather the memory of who we are, a memory that needs to be unearthed within each of us. And this excavation, unlike machines, can only be done with courage, awareness, and truth. If you followed all the parts of this script, congratulations. You didn't just listen to a story, you walked with us through trails buried in time. And now, you are more prepared for what is to come. This was the last part of our special on Edgar Cayce, Egypt, and the prophecy that might be coming true now. But the investigation continues. Backhand index pointing right, click on the card next to watch the next video. In it, we reveal other buried secrets, this time connecting the Bible, the Nephilim, and recent discoveries in the Euphrates River. And of course, if you haven't done it yet, subscribe to the channel now and turn on notifications. Let's together reach our goal of 100 subscribers and spread this message to more people. The truth may be buried under the sand, but the awakening begins with you.